So anyway, I will call this 74th annual meeting of Powder River Energy to order. And I'd like to appoint Steph Grabelski as recording secretary. So anyway, with that, I'd like to introduce Mike Easley for introductions.
Thanks, Walt. Good afternoon, everybody. Just want to make a few introductions. First, we're going to start off with the Pre-Corps board. You've met Walt, but also with Walt today is his charming better half, Lana Christensen. So she's with us today. Philip Habeck, our vice president, table over there. Good to see Jerry Guys. Jerry Guys. Thank you, Jerry. Jerry is chaperoned by his Jerry Ship. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so where was I? Gwen. Gwen. So Gwen is here. Gwen, guys. Paul Baker and his wife Kelly. Jim Baumgartner and his wife Shelley. Reuben Rittaller and his wife Shelley. If I don't introduce JoJo, she'll be mad at me, his granddaughter, so stand up and say hi, JoJo. And then Shane, you can just wave if you want, Shane. Allison Gee is here as well, and she is without children this meeting. Mike and Connie Rossi. Mike is up, and Connie's leaving the audience. Okay, thank you. Also Mike Kelly and his guest, Karina. And Jim Purdy. Most of you are aware of the Pre-Corps Foundation, and we have some of the directors of the foundation I'd like to just recognize. Susan Berry was here, she had to leave, but John and Galen Flokini are here. John's the president of the foundation. Billy Little, she was here also, but had to leave, and I can tell you this foundation board is a great volunteer board that does a lot of good things across Northeast Wyoming. We appreciate what you guys do, Johnson. Thank you. Just wanted to recognize the election judges. These are the folks that will be counting ballots. We have Mike Schober from Campbell County, Franklin Junt from Campbell County, Bob Furnival from Johnson, Kevin Lund from Johnson County, Bill Eagle from Weston, and Lloyd Davis from Weston. So those will be folks that will be helping us with the election today. We do have a list of special guests too. I'd like to just make some introductions. Mason Electric is represented today by three folks. Chris Baumgartner, the Senior VP of Member Services Administration. Thank you for being here. Andy Buttrock, the Director of Strategic Planning and Communications, and Joe Langen, the Fuel and Fuel Transportation Superintendent. So thanks, Space Electric. Representing Senator Easley today is Deanna Kay from his office. Chris Schock, the mayor from the town of Claremont, is here, so we're happy to have him, and also Shane Schrader, the mayor of Buffalo. So thank you guys. Khalil Johnson and his family. Khalil is one of our scholarship recipients, so glad to have him here today, as well as Nathan Petzold, Tia Cranston, and Cheney Peterson, all scholarship recipients. We do have another guest that I'd like to introduce, which is sort of kind of fun because it's a guest that really needs no introduction. John Barrasso is here. You may have seen Senator come in. Senator Barrasso is our senior senator from Wyoming. He serves on the committees that directly impact Wyoming's economy, energy interests, public lands, national parks, and trade. He's the chairman of the Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works. He and his wife, Bobby, who live in Casper, have 3 children. And he also has a long-established career in Wyoming, both in medicine and public service. So, just in time, John Barrasso. So.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to join you today. I just want to thank all of you for what you do, what Powder River Energy does for this whole northeastern part of the state of Wyoming. You know, when you go to these meetings, and I just had three helpings of lunch, people, they do surveys. They say, what do you think? And the surveys are always the same. The food was very good, the speeches were too long. So I'm going to try to cut down on the speeches. Mike, it was good for you to bring the leadership back to Washington. I came in and the mayor of Buffalo was there, Shane, and the first thing he said is, how are things in Washington? I will tell you, it is always better in Wyoming. Always. You know, that's because here we live by the cowboy code. Live each day with courage, take pride in your work, do what needs to be done. And for this now, the 74th meeting, and Steph, you were saying that next year 75, going to be in Sundance, but for 74 years you've continued to provide affordable, reliable power for the people who need it. It's done a beautiful job. I was in this high school a couple of weeks ago. They had Longmire days here. If you watched the television show Longmire, about Walt Longmire, the sheriff here in Buffalo, Wyoming. It was on television. And then they moved it to Netflix. It was the largest rated show that actually lost its television rating because they said most of the people that watched it were like old like us and weren't the younger movers and shakers. But it's a great show, and they do this Longmire days here. And then Craig Johnson, who lives at Ucross, probably one of your customers, was the grand marshal at the parade last week in Douglas for the state fair. We also had, as part of that, after the parade, we went over to the Centennial Ranch celebration. And when I think of Powder River Energy, when I think of Precorp, think of the things you do, 74 years, it's the same as those ranches that have been in existence here in Wyoming for 100 years. You've been through it all, you've seen it all, the ups and the downs, but you've always had hope and you've always looked to the future because you have the grit and the endurance and the determination to see it through. Now, there are challenging times ahead. The delegation is well aware. We're focused on, what's happened with a couple of coal mines in Gillette. We want to get those open as quickly as we can. We know that that's an impact because it's a percentage of the income coming into Powder River Energy comes from the coal mines. Well aware of that, the delegation is committed to getting them open, but more important than that is keeping that presence long term. We need to make sure that coal remains affordable, reliable, secure source of energy. And some of you, and Don Mikey's here, I'm going to see Al Simpson later today. Al's father, Millward, was the governor and the senator. And there was a time when coal was under pressure and people were saying bad things about coal. And Millward Simpson said, I will not let that coal sit in the ground and rot. Well, I am equally committed to making sure that our carbon-based resources that we have here in Wyoming, the oil, the gas, the coal, all stay in use as part of the effort of President Trump for energy dominance in this country. It's interesting when you watch some of the debates on the other side of the aisle, the presidential debates, they've come out with this thing called the Green New Deal, which is, it's fascinating. They're against cars, they're against coal, they're against natural gas, anything that's carbon related, they're against cows. You've seen it all. They're against everything. They are climate alarmists. And they want to do things dramatically, immediately, unilaterally. Well, emissions in the United States have been going down over the past dozen years, but they're going up in China and up in India. So I think we have to be realistic about what's happening, both from the standpoint of where the Democrats want to take us and what we need to do in terms of providing energy security and independence for all Americans. Even Joe Biden did an interview last week, said in the Biden administration, he said we're going to have no fossil fuels. I don't know how you fly Air Force One if you have no fossil fuels. But that's where they're going. The president called me on Wednesday night because he wanted to talk about a couple things. He wanted to talk about the Green New Deal. I don't know, I saw some people with Trump hats on. I'll see if I can just play it. He called me a couple times on Wednesday. Let me see if I can find his first message when he called. We'll see if we can pick this up. That's a president committed to the people of Wyoming. He wanted to talk about the Green New Deal and the impact it would have on our energy resources. So we're going to continue to fight for energy resources. We know that they're challenging times. He's done what he's promised to do in terms of eliminating regulations. He said when he was running, for every 2 new regulations, for every 1 new regulation, he's going to get rid of 2. Turns out we've eliminated about 17 regulations for every new 1 regulation. So he's going to continue to do that, pull us out of the climate accord with the Paris Agreement, which can be penalized the United States, but not doing what it needed to do in terms of holding others accountable where their greenhouse gases are going up while ours are going down. So I just wanted to be here today with you to thank you for what you continue to do for Wyoming. You know, we have this great code, the Code of the West, where I talked about the 3, to live each day with courage, take pride in your work, and do what needs to be done. And I know that Powder River Energy is going to continue to do it with courage and with conviction. And you're going to continue to work forward with great confidence. Thanks so much for letting me join you today.
Isn't that great to have somebody from Washington that's here that really and truly does love Wyoming and all about that? At this time, I'd like to introduce our general counsel, better known as our outhouse attorney. So anyway, he's going to announce the forum results. So anyway, Mark.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, keeping the tradition, I do have a couple jokes to tell before I do announce the forum to read the notice. I did sort of plagiarize his first joke from Jeff Baumgartner, and I don't know where Jeff is, he's probably around here. Oh, there he is, right there. Elizabeth warned about stumping, and she decided she's going to come to Wyoming. She ended up in Buffalo, Wyoming, at the Cowboy Bar right down the road here. She walked in, she thought she'd beat her drum, unintended, and she bought everybody in the bar a drink. There's a guy at the end of the bar that had a red Trump hat on. She goes, I'll buy everybody in this bar a drink except the guy at the end of the bar with the Trump hat. And so the bartender got a drink for everybody in the bar, and as soon as everybody in the bar got a drink, she looked over at the guy with the Trump hat on, he tipped his hat to her, and she was just sort of perplexed by the fact that this guy wasn't angry that he didn't get a drink. So she just tried to figure it out, and she said, I'm going to really make sure that he knows that I'm not buying him a drink. So she yelled out, I want to buy another drink for everybody in this bar except the guy down at the end of the bar with the red Trump hat on. So the bartender dutifully put all the drinks up, and the guy at the end of the bar with the Trump hat tipped his hat to her just like that. And she looked over and she was kind of frustrated, and she went up to the bartender and she said, what is it with that guy down there? How come he's being nice to me even though I don't buy him the bar? The bartender said, he owns the bar. Thank you, Jeff, for that. You have a funny joke too. And this one is not a bad Johnny joke, so don't take a deep breath. This is an okay Johnny joke, I think. So Johnny went to school one day, and the teacher there asked her class, how many of you are Bernie Sanders supporters? And for the first time in his life, little Johnny didn't raise his hand. Every other student in the class raised his or her hand. And so Johnny was sitting there, didn't raise his hand, wasn't going like this, like he usually does, trying to get called on. The teacher was a little perplexed by that, so she asked Johnny, she goes, Johnny, how come you didn't raise your hand, and how come you want to be different again? And Johnny said, because I'm not a Bernie Sanders fan. And the teacher said, why aren't you a Bernie Sanders fan? And Johnny said, because I'm a conservative. And the teacher said, well, how come you're a conservative? And tell me why. And he goes, well, my mom is a conservative, and my dad is a conservative, so I'm a conservative. The teacher was a little bit annoyed by his answer, so she goes, well, if your mom was a moron and your dad was an idiot, what would that make you? And he kind of looked around and he said, that'd probably make me a Bernie Sanders fan. Today, the privilege to read the notice hereby given that the 2019 annual membership meeting of Powder River Energy Corporation will be held in Buffalo at Buffalo High School on Saturday, August 24th. The order of business shall be as follows. Report as to the number of members for a present person in order to determine the existence of a quorum and the number of members represented by proxy. Reading of the notice of the meeting and proof of due publication or mailing thereof, or waiver or waivers of notice of the meeting as the case may be. Approval of unapproved minutes of previous meetings, presentation and consideration of all necessary reports of the corporation, election of directors, unfinished business, new business, and adjournment. It's my privilege today to say we do have a quorum. As of about an hour ago, at least, we had over 100 members. We had 116. I think the number grew quite a bit from that point. So I wish you all a great day. Thank you very much.
I have a little Johnny joke too, but I can't tell it. I was told earlier to behave myself today, so anyway, I'm trying my best, honey. Could we have is there a motion to approve the 2018 annual meeting?
I so.
A second? Been moved and seconded that we approve the 2018 annual meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion passed. All right. Thank you. Has anybody not voted yet? Looks like everybody has already cast their ballots. At this time, if they haven't already left the room, the election judges should probably go to attend their duties. And anyway, the nominating committee members that worked hard to try to find somebody to run against these directors, from Campbell County, they're Brandon Diltz and Kyle Dennis. Either one of those guys here. From Johnson County, Ben Schiffer and Thad Stoltz. From Weston County was Robert Cowger and Ty Miller. I know Bob's here somewhere. Thank you guys for being on that nominating committee. And as everybody noticed, all the incumbents were unopposed this year. I know it's a tough duty to try to find anybody to run for the job. Weston County did have a guy, but anyway, due to other circumstances, he called me and withdrew his name. So anyway, the candidates from Campbell County are Jerry Geis. He's backstage here. From Johnson County, Jim Purdy. And from Weston County, it's Ruben Rittal. So anyway, the election judges are Mike Schober. Did Mike already introduce these guys? He did, didn't he? So anyway, I would declare the election closed. So now we'll hear the financial report from Secretary Treasurer Jerry Geis.